Welcome to Extraordinary League, an actual play RPG podcast brought to you by Smash Fiction. I'm Dan Mulkerin, your game master. Playing Sir Didymus is Kit Mulkerin.
Sir Daniel, dost thou propose a game? I'll have you know I am quite good at Scrabble.
Playing Mad Max Rockatansky is Liz Logan.
Knife!
Playing Finn Balor is Miles Schneiderman.
This Sunday, at Castle Grayskull, I'm coming with something you've never seen before.
Playing James Dalton Bond is Megan Bob.
You didn't think I'd miss this fight, did you?
Playing Amethyst is Claire Mulkerin.
When I play an RPG, nobody can tell me what to do. And if they try, I hit them in the face with a chair.
As you can probably tell from the audio quality, listeners, several of us are in the same room in an unusual configuration from normal, so hopefully the audio quality will be not atrocious. Previously, Castle Grayskull was invaded by the armies of Skeletor. The five of you stood guard on the wall of the castle while the League cell known as Team Ohana left to fight off some of the monsters that flew past the wall. But not long thereafter, the traitorous League member Demona appeared, carrying the new power sword that has granted her the Power of Grayskull. You five were defeated and captured, and now the halls of Grayskull are filled with the monstrous forces that once served Skeletor and now serve Demona. One by one, each of you returns painfully to consciousness. You find yourselves in a relatively large but quite crowded room, with stacks of machinery piled around you and various mechanical components and tools strewn about on every available surface. The room smells of metal and machine oil. You are in the room that some of the more tech-savvy members of the League have converted into a garage and auto shop for the team's vehicles. James Bond and Mad Max have been locked together in a storage cage. Finn Balor is hanging from the ceiling by a chain which holds his wrists together. Amethyst has been tied to a large wheel on the wall in a spread eagle position upside down. Didymus is sitting on the ground with his back against a pillar, which he has been tied to with several layers of duct tape wrapped around him. Each of you has an amount of health equal to your endurance number.
Oh shit.
What do you do?
Your strange chains cannot hold me! And he rides worthlessly against the tape.
Okay, just kicking your feet?
Yes.
I'm hanging by my wrists,
Correct.
so I'm just gonna do the thumb dislocation thing.
Okay. I'm actually going to say then that that's an endurance check. So roll your endurance with a bonus for your escape artist.
That's not great. That's a white.
Finn, you managed to dislocate your thumb. So there's a loud crunch. Your hands slip almost out of the chain, but you're still kind of hanging from, like, the point where the fingers begin to extend out of your hand, so you're not completely out of it, and your hands kind of hurt.
Inauspicious beginnings.
Amethyst could probably do it. She's gonna say, silly people always trying to trap us. Don't they realize that we're... And then she's gonna shapeshift into a soccer ball and say, magic!
Yeah, make a shapeshifting roll.
I got a yellow.
Great. So yeah, you immediately just kind of pop into an amethyst-colored soccer ball and bounce noisily on the ground.
That still has my cartoonish face on it, of course.
Correct.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
yes, Amethyst, you are free.
I could have done that if this was on pay-per-view.
Bond is gonna turn to Max. I don't take you for a smoking man, but nonetheless, are you interested? Okay, I'll take that as a no. And pull out my Detonite toothpaste, which is disguised as cigarette pack, and I guess just apply it to the lock. I don't know how you detonate that, but as soon as that happens, I am going to hope that Max will spoon me protectively. As you are more endurance-y than me.
To clarify, the Detonite toothpaste is a plastic explosive. The detonator is hidden inside a cigarette case.
Oh, never mind. So, alright, well, I guess I just had toothpaste and cigarettes with me.
Yes, they actually took your weapons from you, but they didn't recognize your gadgets as being dangerous.
I mean, never know whenever
If you're
you're
gonna
gonna
travel
want
with
to, like,
cigarettes.
clean up your breath and then also smoke some stuff.
That's right.
Well, you smoke and then you brush your
Yeah,
teeth.
oh, that's a smarter way to do that.
Except in this case, you blow up your face when you use the toothpaste. Anyway,
Yeah, that's a good point.
your Detonite toothpaste is an incredible intensity plastic explosive, so I'm going to need you to roll on incredible on the universal table.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Oh, nope. Nope, that was white. Oh, it just fizzles.
Whoops! Grab the wrong tube. Oh shit! Who has the actual explosive?
Back at my hotel room, a woman's face explodes.
No, I'm just seeing like M is about to. It's like applying the toothpaste.
Oh, I've made some mistakes.
How am I chained up? Or am I chained up? Am I tied
You're
up?
not. You've been put in a storage cage.
Oh,
So
I'm just in a storage
it's
cage.
like a chain link sort of area that's partitioned off from the rest of the garage. There's like a bunch of shelves and stuff behind you.
I'm gonna pull out my knife. I'm gonna walk up to the lock, and I'm gonna try to jam it open.
That'll be an agility check, and I will give you a +1 column shift for using your knife.
Oh, 98! That's a red.
So you dig your knife past the toothpaste that Bond has smeared all over the door, and the lock pops open and the door swings open.
I want to say right before Amethyst is going to turn to and it seem like fiddling with the lock and say, "You can't pick a lock with a knife. I've already tried that." And then it pops open, and she goes, "Whoa."
Nice.
It's not your average knife.
So at this point, you hear the sound of a door open into the garage, and in walks an interestingly dressed figure. He's a very muscular man who's about 90% nude. He's wearing a black furry loincloth with an orange belt. He has like large swooping green shoulder pads, which come down into a breastplate. His head is half uncovered, but the top half of his head has this weird helmet thing, which is largely a green ring with an eye of a different shape on each side.
Oh, it's Triclops.
It sure is.
What's his name?
His name is Triclops, and Klops is spelled with a K.
Edgy.
Oh, the 80s, you were nuts.
Well, he's not going to be succeed, Klops.
Triclops sees that three of you have broken free, draws his sword, and begins to rush in. Let's roll initiative. Didymus.
I got 4.
Mad Max.
10.
James Bond.
7.
Finn Balor.
5.
And Amethyst.
7.
Mad Max, you are up first.
Oh, right. I'm pulling out my shotgun. Is there any cover?
Yeah, there's tons of parts of vehicles around. There's tools scattered around, workbenches. There's plenty of cover.
Alright, I'm gonna fire the shotgun as I dive for some cover. Oh, thank God. Green.
He grunts and stumbles backwards from the force of the blast as his visor rotates around and another one of his eyes takes up a place directly above his nose. And then you see this coruscating beam of energy fires out of it at you.
That was unexpected.
Max, if you hadn't taken cover, that would have vaporized you.
Oh, no.
As it is, it vaporizes the cover you were hiding behind.
Oh, no!
Is this a He-Man character who can actually do something?
I mean, I'm as shocked as you are. James Bond, you are up.
I am going to throw my keychain gadget, and then...
So you toss your keychain over in Triclops' direction and give a wolf whistle, and it detonates. Triclops is going to see if he can dodge the explosion. And he cannot! Triclops takes 20 damage from the exploding keychain. Amethyst, it is your turn.
I'm gonna try to free Finn from his bonds.
Okay, how are you going to do that?
I guess I'm just gonna go over there and just super strength, like rip him open.
Amethyst, give me a strength check.
You're that wrestler guy, right? I've seen you fight. You're really cool.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, I'll get your thing. Sorry, you're good. You're great. I'll shut up. All right, got a red.
You reach up and tear the chains holding Finn Balor as though they were paper. Finn Balor, it is your turn.
I say thanks. I owe you one. And then I will run up to Triclops and drop kick him. I'll use some karma for this.
Alright.
Alright, I'm gonna use 19 karma to get that to yellow.
Oof. Triclops rolls an extremely poor result on his endurance check and goes flying through several stacks of tools and machines, landing in a clatter on the far end of the garage. Didymus, it is your turn. You are still duct taped to the pole.
I'm gonna use Escape Artist. Or at least
Great.
attempt to.
Okay, so roll me some agility and with a bonus for Escape Artist.
It's a green.
You do indeed manage to wriggle out of your sticky prison.
Can I say when he stands up, the camera pans over a little bit, and his tail is missing like a big band of hair.
Yeah. Max, it is your turn again.
Can I run for more cover, please?
Sure.
I guess I'll shoot at the same time again, too. Green again.
Max, you hit Triclops full again, and Triclops drops to the ground, and this time does not get back up.
Nice.
Woo!
So all of you are free, and you can hear the sounds of chaos coming from somewhere outside the room that you've been imprisoned in. And now, playing Stitch is Kit Mulkerin.
I have sworn with my lifeblood no one shall pass this way. Wait, who am I?
Playing Dante is Liz Logan.
I feel very lonely right now, and I have nothing to keep me company but this slice of pizza. And I'm okay with that.
Playing Nico Minoru is Miles Schneiderman.
I also have the power. Also the power. Me having it. Power. Also Shira.
Playing Helena is Megan Bob.
I am Helena. Sestra of Sarah, Allison, Cosima, lots of Sestras, and defender of the Extraordinary League. This is Wexter, my beloved steed. Fabulous secrets were revealed to me the day I held aloft my sword and said, for the honor of Grayskull, I am Helena Ra.
Playing Mordin Solus is Claire Mulkerin.
Though I want to be their friend and I try to pretend, something gets in the way. They say something incorrect, do something imperfect, and I can't help but say, actually, you are technically wrong. My need to correct them means I'll never belong. Actually, you're not as smart as me. Though my advice is spicy, they think that I'm icy. I think I agree.
Ugh.
Nice.
Anytime you use Into the Wood lyrics, you get a +1 CS bonus to everything for the rest of the session, FYI. Previously, you managed to evade Demona's monstrous forces long enough to discover the location of the hidden Sorceress's chamber in Castle Grayskull. There, you found the motionless body of the sorceress, along with a magical sword. It didn't take long for Demona to catch up to you, but Helena took up the sword and has been imbued with great power, transforming the League's tiny T-Rex into a gigantic, sunglasses-wearing dinosaur with Gatling guns for arms. Your battle with Demona has spilled out of the Sorceress's chamber and through several walls, eventually emerging into the same large courtyard where, not long ago, you took out Skeletor's lieutenants. A dozen or so of the monstrous warriors look up in surprise at your arrival. Demona, still infused with power, but looking momentarily less confident than she has been, notices these warriors and immediately calls them to her side. To me, these last vestiges are all that remains of the castle's defenders. Once we strike them down, the secrets of Grayskull are ours. The spectacular night sky of Eternia stretches overhead as Demona and the evil warriors rally for their final assault. Let's roll initiative. Stitch?
6.
Dante?
4.
Helena?
11.
Mordin?
9.
Nico?
4.
Helena, you are up first.
Yeah!
You have been imbued with the honor of Grayskull and are riding into battle on a giant dinosaur. What do you do?
Yeah! How many enemies are there?
At the moment, there are 14 enemies, not counting Demona. Now, the way I'm going to run this is the non-Demona enemies are acting as one mob. You guys can target the mob in order to reduce their numbers. The more of them there are, the more damage they're going to do as a mob.
Is Skeletor fighting on our side in this battle?
Yes, he is. Someone can control Skeletor if they would like.
Oh, God.
Liz, I feel like it should be you.
Oh, she's gonna make him do butt stuff.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay. In the meantime, Helena, you may act.
Wexter is going to charge and then put his head down, and I'm going to slide down his back and off of his little nose. And I am going to do it with my sword outstretched, so it goes straight at Demona. Green.
So, Helena, you slide off of Wexter and drive your sword down. Demona does manage to turn it from a killing blow into a glancing blow, but she is clearly shocked by the amount of strength behind your now magically infused limbs. Mordin, it is your turn.
I think Mordin is probably going to fire an area incinerate into a section of the mob that's closest to us to try to like push him back, maybe kind of create a little bit of a wall between us, or like make him kind of jam up a little bit, you know?
Oh, sure. Try to reduce the effectiveness of the mob.
Yeah.
Yes, I will say that because this is designed to hit a mob, I will allow you to roll with a +4 on your check.
Oh, sweet. That's awesome. I got a yellow.
Mordin, your fireball leaps out of your Omni tool and streaks toward the group of evil warriors. There is a detonation, and 2 of them are taken out. Specifically, Clawful, who is a humanoid lobster, and Jitsu, who is another offensive Asian stereotype enemy.
Jesus.
Oh my god.
It's okay, they're down now. They're down, we don't have to worry about them anymore. Demona is displeased with this turn of events, what with Helena grabbing the other magic sword, and she swings back at Helena. Helena, you manage to get your own sword up and parry her attack, but her tail comes around the other side. And hits you. And you take 75 damage. As she does so, she looks you in the eye with her glowing red eyes and says, "You think this makes us even? You think that you can take me on even with this? This just evens the playing field, and let me tell you, little girl, if neither of us had magic swords, I would still defeat you. This is not enough."
When you get to hell, tell my enemies I said.
Stitch, it is your turn.
All right. So you said there's like a mob. I'm gonna leave Demona to Helena, and
I think you mean Helena Ra.
Helena Ra. How like surrounded are we by this mob?
You're not surrounded by them. They're sort of charging at you in like Lord of the Rings, like epic action movie style.
Oh, good. Would you say they're kind of grouped up in like a cone shape?
One might say, yes.
Okay, great. Let's rock.
So you pull off your magical guitar, Marlene, from your back and begin to strum. Again, because this is a group and your attack is particularly effective against them, I will give you a +4 column shift to hit.
Oh god, to the beautiful sounds of Elvis, they exploded to a fine red mist. I got red. That is all right, mama.
Okay, so you took out Webstore, who is a humanoid spider. You took out Whiplash, who is a humanoid lizard. And you took out Spikor, who is a humanoid covered in little spikes.
What?
All dressed ridiculously and armed with archaic weaponry.
We hardly knew ye.
Dante, it is your turn.
I better go save Helena. Platinum blondes unite. Well, I guess I have white hair, but whatever. So I just have my sword, and I'm gonna whip it out, and I'm gonna point it straight at Demona and just do a stinger right at her. See? Oh, that's a white.
Hamona whips the sword around and catches the incoming Frostmourne before it hits her. The walls of the courtyard begin to reverberate with the thunderous sounds of 3 very magical swords clashing off of each other.
Whoops.
Nico, it is your turn.
I don't know if you remember, Dan, but at the end of the last session, I had just used a revive spell on the sorceress.
I do remember.
Has that done anything?
So are you staying behind in the sorceress's chambers while everyone else goes off to chase Demona?
Yes.
Okay. In the sorceress's chambers, you look off through the numerous holes in the wall that ultimately lead to the courtyard, and then glance down at the form of the woman lying on the ground, and she begins to stir and pull herself up to her feet, looking sort of bleary-eyed and drained.
Alright, I'm gonna try to help her out, just be like, whoa, easy.
Yeah, she leans on you heavily as you help her to stand. She's looking around and says, What's happened?
So, long story short... No, there's too much. Demona has the Sword of Power, and she's taking over the castle, and we're the only ones left to stop her.
Her face grows horrified but determined. This is horrible.
Oh, but one of our friends has the other sword.
Well, I suppose that's slightly better, but not, strictly speaking, ideal. Still, this can be fixed. She extends her hand and begins to concentrate. But after a second where nothing obviously happens, she looks in horror at her outstretched hand and says, No, it's too late. It is now time for the evil warriors to go. Let's see. They're going to swarm forward at Stitch and Mordin, the 2 who confronted them most directly. They begin to swarm all over you, and both of you take 30 damage. Helena, it is your turn.
Can I communicate with Wexter and ask him to do big tail swipe at Demona?
You sure can.
Alright, Wexter, would you please do the thing?
Wexter very happily obliges.
I'm gonna use some karma for this. Okay, the number of karma it takes to get to a green, I will have to do the math, but I think it's about 30.
So Wexter spins around and smacks Demona with his tail. That sort of blow would have probably either cut someone in half or maybe knocked them into another zip code. As it is, Demona is knocked backwards several steps, but she definitely looks like she felt that one. Mordin, you are up.
I think Mordin's gonna just blindly shoot portals at the ground, back and forth, blue and orange, in the middle of the mob, just to make them, like, fall or, like, trip in holes in the ground and, like, stumble all over each other, just to create general chaos in the ranks.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Go ahead and make your shooting portals check.
Green.
Mordin, your portal chaos has disoriented the evil warriors and taken out Stinkor,
Yeah.
who is a humanoid skunk. It is Demona's turn. She is surrounded by a dinosaur, by Helena, and Dante, so she raises up her sword to the sky. Lightning bolts begin to strike the blade and then reflect out to the three of you. I'm going to need Dante and Helena to make agility checks.
Man. Green.
Yeah, I make a green.
Both of you take 40 damage.
Ooh.
Stitch, it is your turn.
Can you name off some of the people who are in melee with me?
There's Too Bad, who is a two-headed monster. There's also Blade, who's this double saber-wielding guy with an eye patch. And there's also Blast Attack, who is a weird kind of blue-faced android? Cyborg? Some kind of mechanical-looking guy.
Can Stitch sort of bounce back and forth between like the three of them until he grabs Blade's eye patch, stretches it out so far that it gets caught on one of the heads of Too Bad, and then like releases it?
Sure.
So they basically get like their knock heads together.
Yeah, roll me a fighting check at -2 CS.
I'm gonna use karma. That was too fun. I'm gonna get it to at least a green.
Yeah, you do exactly as you said. When the smoke clears, Blade manages to stand back up, his eye patch askew and stretched out, but Too Bad does not get back up.
Does he have, like, a hole under the eye patch, or does he just have an eye?
No, his eye is perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. Dante, it is your turn.
I'm gonna try to go back for Demona. What's she wearing?
You know her outfit that she wears on Gargoyles?
Yes.
It's like that, but it's been turned into fur as opposed to, like, cloth. She also has the big He-Man X-shaped harness over her chest, and she has golden bracers on her wrists.
Okay, so her harness, is it in an X?
Yes.
Okay, screw the sword. We're trying something different. I want to cross-choke her with her harness.
Yeah, give me a strength check with a bonus if you have wrestling.
Yellow.
Yes, you have Demona caught in a cross-choke, pulling her harness hard against her neck. What would Skeletor like to do?
I have you now, Demona! And he just starts running around in circles while Dante's doing it. Dante's like, you know you could help, right? I have you! I will become the master of Castle Grayskull once more!
Liz, this is the role you were born to play.
That's all Skeletor's gonna do.
Okay, Skeletor is useless.
Who's more useless, Skeletor or Hannah Montana? There's the next Smash Trick match.
Nico, it is your turn. You are standing in the room with the sorceress.
Yeah, so what's too late for what?
You don't understand. I was imbued with the abilities of the Sorceress of Grayskull to be carried out until my death. I died. You may have brought me back, but the power has already left me. I have no more magical ability left.
But if you did, then you could help?
Well, in theory, anyone who became the new Sorceress of Grayskull could help.
Really?
Nico, at this point, the stone amulet you've been carrying around begins to vibrate and glow. It cracks open. There's this glowing mist that spills forth from it, and forms itself into Flemeth.
Oh, fuck! How did I not remember she does that? No!
She dusts herself off elegantly, looks around, and says, "Did I hear there's an opening for a sorceress? It is now the evil warrior's turn."
Flemeth isn't a good thing, huh?
She's
complicated.
Yeah.
Stitch and Mordin, once again, you guys are being rushed by the remainder of the evil warrior mob. However, their numbers have been reduced enough that you can attempt to dodge or block.
Dodge.
Yeah, I'll do the same.
Yeller.
Green.
Yeah, both of you manage to avoid the attacks coming at you from multiple angles as you reposition yourself for your own attack. Helena, we are back up to you.
I'm really close to Demona still, right?
Yeah, you guys have been in melee.
Can I pick up a chunk of rubble and then, like, kind of toss it in the air, like, and then break it with the sword and try and, like, just shrapnel her?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea.
Okay. Does this count as an improvised weapon or no?
Oh, do you want to declare it as an improvised weapon?
I mean, I'd like to.
Sure, that's fine.
Okay.
Helena has an ability where she can create an improvised weapon that has certain properties. So, Helena, you get to choose one good thing about your improvised weapon. What is it?
I mean, I don't know. Target must make an endurance check or be blinded.
Okay, so you're trying to aim for the eyes.
I try.
What is the bad thing about your improvised weapon?
Oof. I guess the weapon is heavier and wieldy and you take a -2 column shift to hit with it. Makes the most sense.
Great. So roll your fighting check with a -2 column shift penalty.
I love you, dice. Do not try to hurt me. Please be friends. Oh no, you're not friends. Oh, too unwieldy. I hit nothing.
Yep. You break the rock apart, but most of the most damaging fragments go flying wide, and Demona is able to knock aside any of the ones that would have actually hit her. Mordin, what would you like to do?
There's a little ding on Mordin's Omni tool, and his Incinerate has recharged, so he's going to chuck one at Demona's face. Oop, that's a white. About time. All right.
Okay, good. So, Helena and Dante, the two of you are in melee with Demona, and you just get the slightest hint of heat as somewhere far off in the distance, an Incinerate goes flying. Alright, it is Demona's turn. She is being choked by Dante, and she is going to try to flip Dante. She does indeed manage to escape from your chokehold, Dante, but she loses her turn in the process. Stitch, it is your turn.
Who's in melee with me now?
I will say it's still Blade and Blast attack, but now Scareglow has joined.
What?
Scareglow was mentioned in a previous episode. He kind of looks like Skeletor, but he's like wearing a big cape.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he's wielding a scythe.
Can Stitch grab Scareglow's cape, bundle him up in it, and then swing it around to try to hit other people?
Absolutely you can. I think that's going to be a strength check, and you get a bonus if you have wrestling.
Hi, Yellow.
Excellent. You take out Scareglow and Blade.
Stitch is gonna put on Scareglow's cape.
Dante, what would you like to do?
How else can I fuck with Demona?
I mean, you have all those guns.
No, I never use the guns. They're just for show. Can I kick her legs out from underneath her?
Absolutely you can. That's going to be a fighting check.
No, that's a 10. That's a white.
Demona just kind of like puts her hand on your chest and shoves you backward.
Can Skeletor go now?
Skeletor may go.
Oh, wait! That wasn't supposed to happen! Skeletor runs over. Does he have his staff or whatever? What does he have for a weapon?
He actually doesn't have his Havoc staff because Stitch stole it and never gave it back.
Where did I put that thing?
I'm not entirely sure, Stitch.
Skeletor's gonna waltz up to behind Demona, and Demona had just done whatever with Dante and isn't looking at Skeletor. And Skeletor's just gonna go, Judo smack! And smack her across the top of her head and just like expect that to do something.
Roll a fighting check for Skeletor.
Oh my god, that's a red.
Oh, not so useless after all.
Oh my god.
Hashtag Team Skeletor.
Demona, I think, is stunned just because she was not expecting that whatsoever. Yeah, Skeletor hits her in the back of the head. It does almost no damage, but Demona is indeed momentarily stunned. And Skeletor raises up his hands triumphantly and cackles. Nico, we're back to you.
Well, Flemeth has just come out of my necklace.
Yes. She looks at you and nods her head and says, my apprentice, I hope you've been enjoying the reading material.
What are you doing here?
Well, I decided that I needed a, shall we say, an escape route. Just in case things in Westeros got bad or boring, or I wanted to check in on you and see how you were doing. This was a little bit of a lifeline, shall we say, a way for me to get to you quickly should the need arise.
Fair enough. Well, if you could help out with the shit we're dealing with here, that'd be great.
Certainly, of course. It appears as though there's some sort of magical struggle going on.
Yeah, this gargoyle lady got her hands on a magic sword, and this lady was dead, and now doesn't have any more magic.
I see. Very well then. I shall assist you in your matter, and then later on perhaps we can discuss this position of sorceress that was mentioned earlier. Nico and Flemeth have joined the fight.
Yeah.
The evil warriors are attacking. Their two favorite targets. But this time, they are flailing around uselessly, and the two of you completely avoid taking any damage.
How many of those guys are left?
6. Helena, we are back to you.
Is Demona looking at me?
She's kind of stunned right now. She got hit on the back of the head very unexpectedly by Skeletor.
I'm gonna sneak up behind her and try to run her through.
Cool.
Yellow.
Yeah, and a powerful hit from you drives her staggering several more steps as she still tries to get her bearings and catch her breath. Mordin, we are at you.
Mordin's gonna pull out the portal gun and portal up a little ways away, maybe up on top of a nearby wall or something like that, where it can like overlook the battlefield a bit. And then I'm gonna pull out the Shang Tsung mind control device. What does it look like?
It's a large metal orb.
And yeah, I haven't modified it to just send out a bunch of static and screw up people's brains. I'm gonna flip it on and see what it does.
Make a reason check
Cool.
with a bonus for technology.
That's a green then.
With a flick of the switch, half of the remaining monstrous warriors go down, and the rest are at a considerable disadvantage.
Nice.
And that brings us to Demona, who is still stunned from the sneak attack by Skeletor. Stitch, we are at you now. There are 3 of the warriors left.
Who are they?
Fangman, who is a kind of blue lizard snake man.
What about that?
There is Strongarm, who is a guy with one giant metal arm. And there is Icer, who kind of looks like a guy wearing a parka who has like blue skin.
Did Blast Attack get taken out?
Yes, by Mordin's mind control thing.
Gotcha. Alright. Sorry, strong arm. Stitch is gonna rip off that arm.
I had a
Jeez.
You have a history. Give me a strength check.
Can he rip it off and then throw it at Icer, who has the audacity to not have anything going for him?
Depends on what your strength check says.
Okay. Yellow.
Yeah, you rip off strong arm, and throw it at Icer, and both of them are reduced to unconsciousness. Dante, what would you like to do?
Is Demona still stunned?
She is recovering from being stunned.
I'm gonna get up and say, wow, that kind of worked. Let's try something heavier. And then I'm gonna take up my sword and try to whack her over the head with it. Yellow.
Alright, she is not more stunned, but she does take a fair chunk of damage from Frostmourne.
Yeah.
And what would you like Skeletor to do?
Aha! It worked! Let's try it again! Smack.
Roll your fighting. Or roll Skeletor's fighting.
He sounds so happy.
Look at that grin on his face.
Oh my god. Oh, so Dante got a 70, Skeletor got a 71. So it's a yellow. He's better!
True Rose.
I am better! I am one better than you!
So Skeletor just keeps wailing on Demona barehanded. Nico, you and Flemeth have arrived. What would you like to do?
I'm gonna point my staff at Demona and say Magic Siphon.
Okay, what's your
I'm
plan?
going to attempt to drain her magical power into myself.
Okay, that's a ballsy technique. Let's see how it goes.
Barely a green.
Lightning begins to arc out of the sword that Demona is carrying, and it enters into the top of the Staff of One. Demona has lost 2 ranks of both strength and endurance.
Oh.
Nico, you have gained 2 ranks of strength and endurance.
Nice.
Cool.
The power is partially yours. Kit, in the past you have controlled Flemeth. Would you like to do so again?
Flemeth is going to raise her hand up toward Demona and use Glyph of Paralysis.
Excellent. Go ahead and give me a psyche check for Flemeth.
Yellow.
The glyph erupts in front of Demona, who seizes backward as the magic washes over her, but with a slash of her hand, sort of dispels the magic and resists the effects. It is now the remaining 1 warrior's turn. Fangman leaps at Stitch and begins to bite and claw, and Stitch ignores it entirely thanks to his body armor. At this point, there is a thunderous crash as one of the walls leading into the courtyard explodes. There is a war machine that has come through the wall, cobbled together from various machinery that was in the League's garage, piloted by the other 5 Leaguers that we started this adventure with.
Yay!
The B team!
Each of you can narrate something that your character has added to this giant vehicle.
A lance! It's not even pointing at the end, though. It's just a stick.
It's all painted red and black, and there are belts hanging off of it.
There
for,
are
like,
belts
no
on
reason.
the machine.
Amethyst has shapeshifted into a buzzsaw that is on the front of it as a weapon.
Instead of, like snake eyes, that people hang from their
Like the dice?
rearview mirror. Yeah, it's 2 Foster's cans.
Dalton Bond has added just a full bar.
That works.
I like
It's in
it.
the trunk.
Helena, what would you like to do?
Skeletor, I think you have a good idea. I'm gonna turn the blade of my sword sideways and then use the flat of it and just try to whack the back of her head
Great.
as hard as I can.
Let me see that fight.
I'll take it to yellow.
Helena, your blow strikes Demona powerfully in the back of the head, and for just a second, her fingers loosen on the grip of her sword. And that second is enough. The sword goes tumbling from her hand, skipping across the stone of the courtyard, and into the hand of the former Sorceress of Castle Grayskull. She takes it, raises it above her head, and says, "Let the power return." And with that, Demona is reduced back to her original state. Her clothing changes back to normal, her musculature is reduced back to its normal size and shape, and she is left standing helpless in the midst of an awful lot of angry heroes. And for a moment, the courtyard is silent, except for the sounds of Fangman turning and running away.
No, he doesn't.
What does Stitch do?
You see a tail?
Yes.
Yeah, he grabbed him by his tail, and then he throws him into the B team's tank.
Okay.
And he gets promptly run over.
All right. Demona has been depowered, and there is still a defiant look in her eye, but it's very clear at this point that the battle has completely and utterly turned against her. What do you do?
Stitch is gonna walk up to her, kick her in the shin.
Okay.
Can Mordin just portal behind her and Nurgle Shocker?
Yeah. You appear behind her, and with the gesture of your Omni tool, she goes down unconscious.
Stitch looks up at Mordin. That was excessive.
What are we gonna do with her?
We could feed her to Wexter.
Wexter growls approvingly.
Place her in a jail cell, perhaps, but chance of escape is likely. Very wily individual. Perhaps use a DDC to drop her off on some uninhabited world. Seems good, but given all of the rifts that seem to be occurring nowadays, still not a guarantee that she won't find her way back here someday. Open to suggestions.
I could erase her memory.
We have the ability to do that?
Magic.
Magic? Erase your memory.
If you can tamper with things that way, could you just, I don't know, turn her good?
Are things that simple, Mordin?
I didn't think so, but apparently magic can just do anything.
I mean, I can remove memories from her brain. What do you want me to do to turn her good? Like,
I don't see how removing memories will fix her. I think she's been this way for a while.
While you guys are discussing this in the background, the camera pans over to Dante, whose grip on Frostmourne is beginning to shift unconsciously. Dante, you are feeling an extremely strong pull from Frostmourne to plunge the blade into Demona's motionless form and drain her soul.
Whoa, that's not my style, sword.
Mordin looks over his shoulder, then just looks right back to Nico and keeps talking.
No. When we entered into this relationship, this isn't what I was expecting. This is too much.
You are holding up Frostmourne as you say this, and you can see that the hand that's wrapped around its handle, the skin on it is beginning to wither away, and you can clearly see the bones of your hand displayed beneath the skin, and you realize that Frostmourne is beginning to feed on your own life energy.
Dante, that looks really bad.
I don't like this. I don't like this anymore. This isn't what I wanted. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do, Dan. I'm gonna go into Devil Trigger.
There's a burst of dark lightning as Dante shifts into his more demonic-looking form.
And I'm gonna hope that's gonna shock Frostmourne off of me and regenerate my hand.
Neither of those things seem to have happened.
Can, Stitch grab He-Man's sword?
Well, the sorceress has that.
He's gonna run up to her and go, gimme.
She is more shocked at what's happening with Dante and just sort of gives it to you without a second thought.
By the power of Grayskull!
Lightning strikes the upraised sword, and in a flash, Stitch is now wearing a cross-shaped harness, has large gold bracers, and furry boots.
Somewhere, Lace gets super ripped. Stitch is gonna run over in his now very cute little barbarian outfit and try to chop off Dante's hand.
Oh, jeez.
I'm okay with this.
So, the camera shot is Stitch runs over to Dante and jumps in the air with the sword held above his head. Then, the camera shot shows the ground next to Dante's feet, and we hear a thunk as the blade of the power sword hits the stone ground and goes in several inches. And then a split second later, Dante's hand, still grasping Frostmourne, lies on the ground next to it.
Oh God.
Mordin turns to Nico and says, "Give me a second," and then walks over and a needle pops out of his gauntlet.
Stitch is gonna just start smacking Frostmourne with the He-Man sword.
Well, that seems to be taken care of. I'm gonna point my staff, just because they gave me the idea. I'm gonna point my staff at Demona's head and say, "See the light."
Roll your psyche.
Yellow.
Demona's eyes slowly open. She sits up slowly and painfully, although it's as though she's experiencing a pain that's somehow deeper and more profound than anything physical could ever be. She looks up at you, and her eyes, which had been glowing red up until this point, shift back to look more human, and you see that they become rimmed with tears. Demona draws her knees up to her chest and buries her face between her legs, and you see her shoulders shaking as she sobs silently. Dante, the insistent whispers of Frostmourne are still in your head, although, bit by bit, they begin to disappear away, until they are gone entirely, and you are left with the agonizing pain of having had your hand cut off.
Mordin looks at Frostmourne, and then looks at Flemeth, and then remembers that Flemeth wanted to get her hands on this thing.
Oh God.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to get this thing out of here. I say, "Dante, I never thought I'd ask this, but could you take off your coat?"
I'm like, yes.
I'm going to wrap Frostmourne up in the coat, and I'm going to just have it tucked under my arm. And then I'll just go over and try to help Dante out and give him some Metagel and see what I can do to seal off the wound on his hand.
Helena takes off her parka and puts it around Demona's shoulders and says, "It's okay. I was not always good, Sestra."
Aww.
And then just pats her hairs.
Mordin, you have wrapped up Frostmourne in Dante's coat. Even holding it through the coat, your fingers are beginning to go numb from the unimaginably intense cold radiating off of this thing, and frost is actually beginning to form on the exterior of the coat.
I'll say, fine, you can take over to Helena. I say, I'm going to find a place to stash this thing.
Where are you going to stash it?
I'm trying to think of a place where nobody's going to mess with it. I was thinking of, like, somewhere in my lab or something.
Oh, God. Evil weapons always come back.
Yeah, this is really tough. I was going to say I could put it somewhere not tell anyone where it is, but at the same time, like, it can, like, call out to people in their sleep and shit. And I don't want frickin' Flemeth to get it, and she's, like, possibly becoming the Sorceress of Castle Grayskull, and she'll, like, know everything about Castle Grayskull. We gotta get this thing way out of here.
Does the Sorceress of Castle Grayskull have any advice?
The former sorceress you're talking about, right?
Yeah, whatever her name is.
Her name is Helena.
There we go.
She explains that there are numerous hidden rooms in Castle Grayskull, but it wouldn't necessarily prevent people from hearing the call of Frostmourne. There is the bottomless pit, which surrounds Castle Grayskull, and also the bottomless pit, which surrounds the chamber where the power sword is normally housed. So, at the very least, you could cast Frostmourne down there if, you have no better alternatives.
Nico,
Yeah?
can you make magic barrier around the sword?
Yeah, maybe make it so it can't call out to people.
Stitch, like, looks at Mordin like, really?
Will you ask nicely?
Mordin looks down and he says, look, if this thing is some form of science, it's more advanced or a field that I'm not studied in. I think this might be time for a little less science and a little bit more, shall we say, art?
So what you're saying is, either magic is real, or I'm smarter than you.
Look, we each have our specialties, our
cool.
niches, our unique talents that we provide to the team.
I appreciate that. Smarter than Mordin. I'll point my staff at the sword. I'll say impenetrable shell. It's a green.
Mordin, you have sudden difficulty holding on to Frostmourne because it is now surrounded by a bubble, which feels harder than steel to you. You're able to sort of carry it by, like, wrapping your arms around the bubble itself, but Frostmourne appears to be completely cut off.
Is Dante's coat inside of the barrier?
It is not.
I didn't know if he was going to lose it forever.
A mixed blessing for Dante, to be sure.
Yeah.
Someone would make another one.
He's already lost his hand. Don't take his coat away from him, too.
Speaking of which, I go up to Dante and I put my hands on his bloody stump of a hand. Arm, whatever it is.
So yeah, with the warm magical energy flowing from Helena's hands, Dante, your wound closes up. You are no longer bleeding. You still don't have a hand, but you're not in any danger of dying anytime soon.
Less bad.
Stitch walks up to the sorceress and says, "Thank you," and he gives her the sword back, the He-Man sword.
All right, she
I also
takes it back, kind of perplexed.
I also scold Dante for getting involved in dark magical objects.
Sometime after the battle ends, the sorceress, Helena now, asks Nico to join her in the sorceress's chambers. She explains again that she was intended to be the Sorceress of Castle Grayskull upon her death. She has died. She is no longer eligible for the position. So a new sorceress needs to be imbued with the ability to protect Castle Grayskull. The person who receives this mantle will receive immense magical power. However, they will not be able to physically leave the castle except in the form of an animal. So, she points out that you, Nico, are one potential candidate to become the new sorceress. Additionally, Flemeth is another potential candidate. Additionally, Skeletor is another potential candidate.
Whoa.
As is Demona.
Whoa.
Fuck that bitch.
Wait a sec.
Trust Skeletor over that bitch.
Who makes the decision?
I believe that you and your friends have the judgment and goodness of heart to make this decision where I may not be able to.
And the Sorceress of Castle Grayskull is responsible for defending it?
Correct.
Yeah, I don't think that's me.
Do you have someone in mind who could take up this mantle?
I mean, it should be somebody more experienced. I don't know how trustworthy Flemeth is, but I know she takes her responsibilities seriously. I mean, Demona, I don't know how well my spell worked, so I'm not sure if she can be trusted with that. I think if it were up to me, I would give it to Flemeth.
I take your words and your judgment seriously, young mage. I do believe that Flemeth shall succeed me as the new Sorceress of Castle Grayskull. Extraordinary League is produced by Dan Mulkerin, with logo design by Claire Mulkerin.
Special thanks to Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com for our theme song, Motherload, and to TabletopAudio.com for our background music and ambient sound effects.
You can find us on Twitter at SmashFic Podcast and search for the Smash Fiction Podcast on Facebook, Tumblr, and YouTube.
Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice, and if you leave us a good review, we shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Smash Fiction is made possible thanks to our supporters on Patreon at patreon.com/smashfictionpodcast. Please consider donating as little as $1 each month. It helps us keep the show going. And we have great rewards and extra content for those who help us out.
If you have any suggestions, feedback, or other contributions, send them to us at smashfictionpodcast@gmail.com and help us continue the fight.
Are there animals nearby at all somewhere? Like birds or something? Or like raccoons?
You have the power of Grayskull, and you want raccoons. You have a T-Rex with Gatling guns for arms, and you want raccoons.
I'll say there's a flock of bats nearby.
Fine! I don't want the bats anymore!
Mordin has shamed me.
I wanted the bats, but then Mordin made me feel bad about the bats.
Well, you have the bats.
There.
You can have the bats.
No, it's fine, Mordin. I don't want them anymore.
If we put this hand in some milk, like, what can
Get it to a dentist really quickly.
I mean, it should be somebody more experienced.
Me?
I mean, look, I don't know how
have been here
trustworthy.
I stunned
If she
Demona
were-
with my hand.
Yeah, not you.
I single-handedly won this battle.
Oh my god. I use a prestidigitation to just knock him out the door.
I've left you my card. Please reconsider.
I have good references.
I love that Skeletor is just a character that we all play at this point.
We're all skeletons.
Yeah.